Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next Clash Island voice actor interview. I'm here with our next voice actor, and I'll get right to the first question because that's asking who they are. So, who are you, and who do you voice in Clash Island, and how long have you been voice acting for?
Hi, my name is Violet Hayami. I voice Monarch for Clash Island, and I've been voicing for a little over a year now.
And how did you get the role for your character, and what was your experience in auditioning for the role?
Um, Honestly, it's been so long, so I don't know the exact details, but I remember seeing the Clash Island post on Casting Call, and I was like, oh, this would be cool. I like Amalee. I've been a fan of hers for a pretty long time now, so I was like, I can't do the best voice, but I'll give it a try. And so at the time, I was looking at it and I was like, oh, these seem fun. So I was looking over the audition script and I just tried reading them in the best and deepest voice I could. And I managed to get the role, which is a miracle.
And what do you like most about playing your character, and what about them do you find interesting?
I like the dynamic between Amalee and Monarch. So Amalee is like her upbeat, happy persona, the one who sings anime songs, and Monarch is kind of like the deeper, brooding, more sinister side. So I like having to play both of those sides. And she's just like super funny to voice as well. I like your choices with the script.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask too, how did you feel about getting your own individual video, basically? Because we have specifically the Amalee video, the Amalee trailer. So how did you feel about being the only cast member to kind of get like your very own, like, intro video?
That was super cool. At the time, I didn't really have any projects to go off, so it was like the biggest one I've ever been on, and just seeing people's reactions be like, oh my gosh, it's Amalee, it's Monarch. It was like so cool. Because if I was in that same position and I saw a fan project like this, I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's like a bunch of creators coming together, and then there's Monarch. That's so cool.
Yeah, and I was just this was totally something that came up just recently. So Iron Mouse has always been in the original script for Clash Island, and before Monarch was in there, it was actually going to be Gargura from Hololive.
Oh.
But I didn't want to get into any legal trouble because sometimes Hololive doesn't like having their talent inside projects that they don't control or inside fan projects. So I decided to take Gura out and put Amalee in as Monarch. But just recently, it was announced that Monarch has joined V Shoujo, which is the same agency Iron Mouse is a part of, which I thought was very interesting because now now that there's two VTubers in Clash Island, that both of them are now a part of V Shoujo. So I thought that was a cool little thing that we managed to pull off, as we predicted kind of that they would be together in some way, shape, or form, and now we have it's all coming full circle is what I'll call it.
Are you an insider? How'd you know?
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I posted on the Discord. I was like, I've had Monarch in Clash Island for over a year now, and now she's part of V Shoujo, and Iron Mouse is part of V Shoujo. And I was like, did I predict the future? And it's like, maybe I'm just a little bit ahead of my time. So
I
yeah,
know.
that was some cool stuff. And just recently, like yesterday, I'm pretty sure the Discord server found out that Iron Mouse actually watched the recently released Clash Island trailer.
I know, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was
Having somebody that big just like look at a project you're in or that you made is so cool.
well, the main thing that was really cool about it was because I actually emailed Iron Mouse's agent because
Oh.
I'm in contact with her because I won the animation contest way back with the Iron Mouse animation I did on the channel. I actually submitted that as part of the Iron Mouse animation contest, and I won a 5th runner-up spot. So I emailed her agent being like, hey, this is like the follow-up to that video. Like, there's more Iron Mouse animation stuff. So her agent actually pushed that to her live on stream, and that's why she watched it. It wasn't because she found it. It was because I told her agent, like, hey, we made a sequel to the animation. If Iron Mouse wants to watch it, she can. She doesn't have to watch it on stream. I made that very specific in the email, was she doesn't have to watch it on stream. I'm not asking her to. I just want her to watch it. To say like, hey, it's still here. And then her agent pushed it to her live, and then she watched it. So
That's so cool.
Yeah, so Roxy, her agent, is very awesome. She's super nice, always answers my emails, and generally most of the Hololive people are super nice. Out of the people who have contacted about the trailer so far, Iron Mouse and her agent have been the most like nice to me, which is which is nice because sometimes you'll contact me with crazy, be like, hey, I made this video and you're in it, and they'll just be like, yeah, cool, I'll check it out later. And it's like,
Yeah.
thanks. But Roxy and Iron Mouse are like, oh, let's watch it right now, and they snap.
So cool.
They snap to and watch right now, so they're the best. So I'm really glad that we get to have two V Shoujo members in there, and I'm really glad that Monarch is now a part of V Shoujo because that opens up multiple story opportunities for like us going forward, which is nice.
Yeah, that's true.
Alright, so let's go into the next question. Did you do any research on who you'd be playing, and what did you discover about them that helped you play your role as them better?
Formerly, I only knew her from like her covers. I wasn't too aware of her VTuber side, so when I got the role, I had to like look up some clips of her. You showed me some clips that kind of showcased her speaking pattern, just so I could get a better grasp on that. So it's just a combination of like clips from her stream, clips from VODs on YouTube, clips from clip channels that really helped me like kind of understand what she was going for with Monarch. And then there were some where she would just be Amalee and she'd be happy and like collabing with friends, and it kind of helped me understand both of the sides a little bit better.
I think the cool thing about Amalee is that I guess it makes more context for me to reveal what's actually going on, because some people watch a trailer and they won't know the actual lore of the VTuber Monarch. So I guess I will kind of get into that a bit more here, as Multiverse Monarch is kind of based on Amalee's various covers of anime intros, where she places her OC of every single like anime she does a cover for into like the universe. And the lore of her character is that the multiversal monarch sends a clone or a copy of herself to each like multiverse, whether it be like the Naruto verse, the One Piece verse, whatever anime or show she's doing a cover for, she sends a copy to. And the copy basically serves as a fill-in villain, that if the heroes beat all the villains, and because multiversal monarch's main fear is that once heroes beat the main villain of their series, that later on they will become the villain of that universe. So Multiverse Monarch inserts a evil version of herself into the story to become that villain that they face once all the villains have been defeated. So she becomes like the absolute final boss of every single multiverse, just to make sure that all the heroes stay heroes, which is why in Clash Island she's so obsessed with like meeting the whole Drum universe's main hero, or our universe's main hero, and that's who she's trying to get close to, is like the main hero. And that's sort of the story of what's going on there, so people understand that the Monarch that we see in Clash Island is actually aware that she is trying to hunt down this hero and find them. So that's kind of the context. So when you're playing Monarch, you have to kind of like have this hidden agenda about all your dialogue, and people will see that in the actual pilot episode of like her trying to get close to the universe's hero, and that happens to be the producer of the show, kind of deal. So I think that's kind of a cool factor to your characters, because you get to do lots of like hinting and future speak, and you get to like really get to do dialogue based on like the various hidden underlining story of the entire thing, and you have like this hidden agenda, so very secretive, and I think that's kind of a fun role for you to get to play.
Absolutely. I like how you kind of incorporated her backstory into that, because it kind of makes it interesting, where it's like, is she evil, or is she trying to push this agenda of making sure he doesn't go bad?
Yeah, and there's also like a fine line of trying to figure out, which VTuber stories do I introduce as canon and which ones do I introduce as just being fantasy. Because like Iron Mouse is literally the devil, but I can't have her be the devil, so she's just somebody pretending to be the devil, whereas Monarch is actually this multiversal being.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't have Iron Mouse be the literal devil, and I have to pick and choose which VTubers' lore is actually accurate to them and which ones aren't. So that's also parts of future planning that we have to figure out too. Is like if we incorporate future VTubers, is their lore real or are they just pretending? Like it's very interesting that I get to have these like different beings and such. So. But yeah, going on from there, we'll go into the next question. I'm pretty sure you answered this one, but we'll just clarify. Were you a fan of Monarch / Amalee before you got cast as them?
Absolutely. When I was like in, middle school, high school, I would always listen to her covers just because I think she was one of I don't know if she was one of the first, but she was like one of the biggest English cover artists out there. And it would be awesome to see what she came up with. So I would always like tune in if she had something new.
Yeah, I was the exact same way. I think the two biggest ones back when I first started listening to English covers were Nate Wants to Battle and Amalee. Those are the main two that I would listen to. And I knew for the longest time I had a bunch of Amalee's music on my iPhone.
Yeah.
I listened to it all the time. So I was very much aware of Monarch or of Amalee before she actually became a VTuber. So when she did become a VTuber, I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I would listen to some of her, I would watch some of her streams, and she would actually collab with other anime cover artists like Sayu, which is We.B. Or he used to go by We.B, and now all of his stuff is renamed to Sayu. So yeah, I know there's Sayu and all the other people that she collabs with, and yeah, I thought that was cool. Was going like learning like kind of like her as an independent VTuber, seeing all the people that she would collab with and how different it was in comparison to others, and it was way more music based, which is really interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we were both fans of Amalee before we did this before, so it's good to hear. What was your initial thoughts on the script without revealing spoilers?
Fun, very fun. Like I said, I was very into my career at the time. I think it was like maybe like 3 or 4 months in, so I wasn't very familiar with how script writing was normally, or like what kind of scripts I'd get, how to like convey emotions. So it was a bit of a learning process. But when I saw the script for the promo video too, I was like, wow, this is like super evil and sinister, but I enjoy it. I get cast as like a lot of, the more shy, composed characters, so like being able to have this range of emotions and like put on a facade but also like have a hidden agenda behind it was like a really fun dynamic to play with.
Yeah, but Monarch is the one character that we get to have like the most direct fun with when we're in regards to doing evil shit, because she's trying to enact an agenda. So she's trying to specifically get a certain outcome. So when writing her, I get to do like this fun like hidden secret agenda that she's trying to pull off, and like it introduces chaos into the show just based on that. So that's a great aspect to her character. So let's see here. What would you like to see happen in Clash Island, and what aspects of the project made you excited to be a part of it? Which I'm pretty sure you've already answered that last part, so let's just do what would you like to see happen in Clash Island?
Honestly, I'm just excited to see how you write the dynamics between streamers, because there's some streamers who like know each other, they kind of like maybe talk to each other, but then there's people like off like on polar opposite spectrums. Like I want to see maybe like Meat Canyon talk to Iron Mouse or something like that. That'd be funny. But with the latest revelation of Amalee joining Bishojo, maybe I'd like to see some dynamic between her and Iron Mouse.
Which is interesting when you add that, because I did want to have characters that would probably not interact in real life interact on the show, and one of them was like Meat Canyon and Monarch. That was the one interaction. That was some of the main interactions that we had. Oh, dogs barking like crazy. There must be children outside. But the one thing I wanted to have with like the show was people who would interact. So I wanted to have like somebody like Meat Canyon who does like all this dark, spooky content, talking to somebody like Iron Mouse and Monarch who do more of like that VTuber content where they're like fun and happy and go lucky and all that sort of stuff. So I really like that crossover dynamic, and like the crossovers is pretty crazy because just recently Moist Critical and Meat Canyon played League of Legends together, and that was that was the first time they kind of collabed together on something. And I was like, damn, that's man, everything's coming up Millhouse on my end because now these crossovers are getting more introduced. So I was like, damn, just working out in our favor. I'm predicting the future more often. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess you can kind of see that in the trailer as well, where Meat Canyon is like saying all this weird stuff, and Ami was like, "Whoa, what are you saying?"
She's like, "You're kind of fucking creepy."
Yeah.
And then he's kind of like, "Oh, I can be creepy too," and she's doing her creepy dialogue. And he startles her there. So I think there's lots of fun crossover potential, and plus I think I've talked to other voice actors about possible storylines, and a lot of them were excited about that. So. That's really cool. All right, so now we're going to go into the next part of the interview, which is lots of people would like to get into voice acting. What advice or suggestions would you give people interested in pursuing voice acting? And since you are fairly new, that would be something that you could probably give some insight to.
Yeah, so it's a little different for me because I started out with like zero acting experience, like ever. But I know some people have come into this like with theater experience, like maybe in middle school and high school, or maybe they were part of like a theater major in college. It varies a lot, but like I hear a lot of people saying do theater, whether it's like in your community or school, just having that experience and having that acting background helps out a lot. I hear people saying take workshops and classes, but they are kind of pricey. I'm in the US, so it's like maybe $80 and upwards, which can be pretty pricey if you're starting out, especially if you need like equipment and stuff like that. But I think the best free way, at least how I started, was just, getting myself out there, putting stuff on YouTube. Casting Call Club was like a huge resource for me. That's how I found this project. But it also helped me to like get my foot in the door, kind of find some projects I'd be interested in, projects that were accepting beginners, and kind of understanding how the audition process could be, how people write their scripts, what kind of content people do. And it just led me to finding out a lot of fellow VAs who were kind of like moving through that journey with me, and it'd be like, hey, I know you from that other project. And then sometimes you'd work with people and you're like, hey, I know you, hey, what's up? So it's just, I think Casting Call Club is a really good resource. I started looking on Twitter recently, but it's kind of like more for professionals and semi-professionals, so unless you have a pretty strong foundation, the chances aren't zero, but it's like significantly harder to find more work. I'm not saying like it's zero, but like it is. You have a lot more competition from what I've seen, but just put yourself out there. If you're new, if you're starting, get a mic. No headset mics, just get a mic off the internet. USB mics. I have a USB mic for like $50. Even cheaper on sale. Just get yourself one of those and find a quiet space in your house. People use closets, cars, put a blanket over your head, and just go for it. You won't know until you try.
Yeah, that's a lot of the similar advice we've been getting from other voice actors. Just go for it. I think that's what, and also the theater background stuff is also that's also advice we've heard from others before. So it seems like there is tons of crossover, and a lot of the same advice is like very much just the blanket advice. Do theater, do other acting, just start doing it. Don't be afraid to go out there and do other stuff, because you have to get out there and you have to start trying. And that's some of like I said, I've done 3 interviews so far. every single one of you has given the exact same advice. Do theater, get started, go out there and do it. Just start doing stuff on YouTube. Just start doing it.
Yeah.
So
Just start, guys.
yeah, that's some of the blanket advice we'll be getting, and I think that carries over quite a bit because one of the voice actors that I've known for the longest time that's helped on both my first series and this one, she voices Barbara and Jaden, and she also voices two other characters in my other series, and she does theater work in the local community all the time, and she just has this microphone set up for doing voice acting and stuff at home. So the crossover between theater kids and voice acting is quite prevalent.
I know.
Yeah.
A lot of the people I know have been like, "Oh, I used to do theater." And I'm like, "Wow, that's a lot of you."
Yeah,
But it's kind of expected.
and theater is great that way because people, I forget what it was about theater, but I was remember watching a video on why theater is a good intro to becoming like a voice actor is because you have to use your voice quite a bit to convey your emotions because some people will be too far away to see your expression. So when you're on stage, you really have to throw your voice and get your performance into your voice while doing theater. So I think that's why it's such a great standpoint or starting point is because you have to be able to have that vocal knowledge and that vocal acting while on stage.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Because when I think of theater, I think of like making sure you have that acting foundation, making sure you can act. Because it's all about like voice acting. But like you said, it's all about like learning what you can do with your voice. Because a lot of people don't think about projecting or like scenarios you're in. I didn't think about that until like recently. So it's like, am I projecting enough? Am I loud enough? Am I doing what the scenario requires? Am I talking to somebody like 6 feet away or like 20 feet away? So it's like a lot more that I need to think about now.
Yeah, and as part of like the voice director, I know I usually have to kind of like get you guys where I'm trying to get you in most scenarios where I have to like give you guys feedback. And I think the one thing that I've learned the most is how to properly voice direct people and how to give people the proper like context of what they're trying to do with what they're saying at the moment. And I think that's probably one of the biggest advantages that my projects have is the fact that I actually like being a voice director and a lot of this stuff is already like in my head when I come into it. Like whenever I start recording something, I already have like kind of like the conversation that my characters are having already in my head. So I kind of already know like what pieces I need to fill in. It's like filling out a jigsaw puzzle in my brain. I'm trying to get you guys to create the right piece to fit in the next piece. But I think that's just one thing that I've learned how to do really well these days is how to like direct you guys more efficiently to give you guys the best context of what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think you're a fantastic live director. Like when we did the sessions like a year ago, it was like you helped me a lot like visualizing those scenes. So I owe a lot of credit to you too. But I think live direction itself is just like a huge advantage because there's people who are like, oh, here's the line, here's the direction, just submit it. But like having that live feedback is just so valuable.
I will say there is some appreciation for the voice actors that I've worked with that have been able to just read my script and know exactly what I'm going for. Like the voice actor for Markiplier, it's Rick. That dude is he's fucking remarkable. Because the first time we voice recorded, we did it over like live direction. But then to get like the promo material and the other like extra material I needed, I just sent him the lines and he just recorded it and sent it back. And he like absolutely nailed it on the button with what I was going for. So there's an appreciation for him being able to do that. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to him because he's crazy. He's crazy good in regards to
I was listening to the trailer and it was just like, wow, that sounds exactly like him, but also like really professional.
Yeah.
So I was blown away.
And he did all that without direction. So I was just like, man, this guy's like big, huge rock star. I can't wait for our interview with him. But moving on more about you, how can people follow you personally and find other projects you've been in?
I am on YouTube, social media in general. So like YouTube, Instagram, Casting Call, Twitter, now X. You can just find me at Violet Hayami. I also have a website, just like violethayami.card. That's with 2 R, CARRD. .co. And you can find other projects I've been in. I have a playlist on YouTube. I have a resume up on my website. And yeah, if you want to support me, I'd appreciate that. Also, go support Clash Island. Make sure you're ready for the release.
Yeah, everybody should be ready for the release on the 14th. What is the most notable role you've been in outside of Clash Island?
I don't even know. Most of what I'm known for is just like voice impressions. So I've been doing like Fuka from Persona, Momo from Dandadan, Farina from Genshin Impact, and a lot of that has just been from like skit channels that you can find on YouTube. But I think the most prominent role I will have in the future is kind of like, I can't reveal it yet, but it'll be coming out hopefully soon, and then I'll be able to hopefully reveal it.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when I first cast you, you were doing like Persona stuff, and one of the main characters you were voicing back then was Persona 5's Makoto.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That was before I think Reload even came out for Persona 3.
Yeah, I forgot about her, but like, yeah, she's like where it all started. That's how I got into like voice acting. I kind of like played around with my range and found out I could do her voice. So I think that was what I was known for in the very, very beginning. But since then, I've been like trying to branch out, become more versatile.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyways, I'll make sure to include all of your links that you want shared into the description below, so people can find you where they want to find you. And that's it for the interview today, and I will see everybody for the next interview with my next voice actor.
All right, see you guys. Bye.